Good morning. Do we have audio? Can you hear me? I'm hoping that this is working. The indicator in Talk Studio is going off on the microphone. The Roadcaster is good. On this end, everything looks good. I have made a few changes. Thanks, Grish. I've made a few changes. I suspect, I haven't determined completely, but I suspect what happened when I tried to do the live on Sunday night is that I had Streamlabs logged in before I had turned the Roadcaster on, and that caused the glitch. However, the interesting thing is when I go into audio input on Streamlabs, the input drop down still shows duplicates of the Rodecaster Duo main stereo with identical IDs, and so I don't get it. There seems to be some glitch somewhere. Okay, so of course Grish was first. Linux Stew, welcome. You might be new, I'm not sure. Thank you for being here. This is sort of something that's been happening more lately, doing these impromptu morning streams. I don't know. It's one of those things where I've come to the realization that apparently part of getting older is being wide awake between 5 and 6 a.m. So I'm trying to be productive. So I've already made my pot of coffee. I'm on my second cup this morning. I've got a load of laundry that's gone from the washer to the dryer. I've been writing in my journal and doing some other odds and ends around here to get ready for my day. So getting sort of a morning routine in place, I guess, if you can call it that. That is probably going to be pretty much what's going to happen the rest of my life until I get dementia or something. Or I don't know, I might get hit by the proverbial bus that my professors always talked about in my IT classes. Don't get any ideas, people. I don't want to be pushed in front of a bus. Don't take it as that at all, but it could happen. All right, and Tony from Quick Tech Solutions is here. Welcome, my friend. All right, so we've had some exciting things going on this week. I dropped a members stream or members video on Monday talking about Open Media Vault 8 beta. So currently this is, let me see. I don't know if I've got it on here right now. I do. Currently, show on stream. So this is the 8 beta. Just running in a VM. And look at that. There are updates available already. 8.0-7. Sure, let's go ahead and install that. We might as well get this show on the road. So currently, unless something changed overnight, currently, you have to install Debian 13 with no GUI in order to get the Open Media Vault 8 beta going. There is no ISO available that you can download, again, unless they release something overnight. But in large part, this is the Open Media Vault 7 interface bumped from Debian 12 to Debian 13. Not a huge change in that regard. Now, I haven't dug into all the release notes, but I do believe this help widget on the dashboard is new. I'm still trying to get over this head cold sinus infection thing. So, this has been up for 2 days. But if you look through most of this, it's the same layout as the previous version. I did this in the demo for Monday for members. I added 2 virtual disks. I set up the shared folder, just test at this point. Oh, well, and I crashed it. Oh, well, they've got a bug. They got a bug. All right. Well, anyways, so I basically got it to the point that I have a test share that I can connect to from the Mac. And I copied over some MP4 files that I had laying around. Greetings and salutations, DJ Harris. Is this the Mr. Harris that I might be thinking it is? The Mr. Harris that I go way back with, I may have purchased a computer from at one point in time. Welcome. Okay, so let's see. Nextcloud versus Open Media Vault. Much difference. Well, Linux stew. Yes, there is much difference. There is a lot of difference. Open Media Vault is a network attached storage. That is its primary functionality, sharing storage over a network. Period. Multiple protocols, you can, do all that kind of stuff. Open Media Vault is trying to be more of a replacement for the Google Workspace suite. So your Google Drive, your Google Docs, your Google Photos, although I keep getting told that it doesn't do that very well, etc. So it's one of those things you can self-host Nextcloud. However, where it really shines is being available to sort of a team or a family or a group of people, however they might be related, right? I hope that answers your question. Okay, so let's see. It just doesn't like me today. Doesn't want to be restarted. There are no... Okay, let's just restart this and see if it acts any better. All right. While that's doing its thing, let's come back up here. All right, so let's kick off a couple of things. So this is Proxmox Data Center Manager. I have not looked to see if they've issued a full update on this. It looks like they have bumped it a point release. So let's go ahead and start the upgrade on that. Say yes. And then I'll drag this off screen so that I can move on to let's pick on this one first. Okay, so this is sort of my tertiary. I don't want to save it. This is my tertiary Proxmox machine. This is the one I typically will use as a test location, and I start my updates here, right? So I'm going to refresh these, and then we'll bump this. Task okay. All right. We will bump this up to 9.1. I'll say yes to that and let it do its thing. All right, so all right. Well, fascinating scrolling text, right? Okay, and this is subprocess returned an error. I think I know what that is. Maybe. But we're going to log out of that, leave page, and we're just going to refresh this, and it does in fact get us to 9.1.1. Okay, so there are a few notable updates. And if we come over here, so this is on local. Can I put it on VM? Do I hit? It's only volumes there. All right. Anyways, container templates. One of the new features is OCI support. So you can pull from an OCI registry. Well, what does that mean in practice? Well, if we go over to linuxserver.io and go to images, so these are all typically Docker type images. And there is all kinds of software over here. So let's just find something that is relatively interesting. Let's see, last build. We want something really current. Let's see. It's a photos app. Well, let's do changedetection.io. So you can now copy this text here, come back to our Proxmox, and take, no, this is probably going to fail. Maybe not. There we go. Say latest. We can now download an OCI image. So this is pretty cool. So task okay. And now we can come here and we say create container, and we'll say change detection. We're going to give this a password. Going to go to template, and look at that. We can change. We can select change detection.io latest.tar. Say next. We're going to say that goes on local LVM, and we'll give it 10 gigs of space. 1 CPU, half a gig of RAM. Network is standard, DNS, and we'll say start after created. And I wasn't asking you to save the log on. Okay, so this says detected OCI archive, detected container architecture as AMD 64. Now, mind you, this is an old Optiplex, so this is not a fast machine, but again, this is what I use for testing before I roll it out to the big boys. All right, so we now have change detection right here. And you can see that it is, in fact, running. If we go to console, you are going to get this message. Application container detected. Console might not be fully functional. All right, so what can you do about that? Well, if you recall, all those shorts I did about Proxmox commands. You'll know that you could do a PCT list. And right here, we've got our change detection container. It's 105. We do PCT enter 105. We are now inside that container. So it does, well, that's interesting. It does not actually have, All right, that's interesting. It does not actually have an IP address assigned. Halt. Let's see, PCT stop 105. Okay. So 105 is stopped now. If we come over here, it's all sorts of complaining. But let's look at network. ID is net0, name is eth0, bridge is test. So I messed that up. That was my fault. Whoopsie. Okay, let's start that up again. Hey, that looks better. Okay, so let's try this again. Still does not have an IP address. It's all right. We'll get this figured out. This is the first iteration of this. This is only like my second or third time playing with one of these, so there's going to be some growing pains on getting all this OCI stuff up and running. Stay. Good
morning, Joe Cephas.
Didn't select DHCP for network when setting up the container. Good catch. Let's take a look at that. Right, because it defaults to a static IP address. Gotcha. Okay, edit DHCP. All right, and that's going to, of course, take a restart potentially. It picked it up. Thank you, Lytic Stew. I'm going to blame the head cold and trying to be somewhat entertaining. All it takes is a second set of eyes, and your stupid errors shall be revealed. Perfect. So, and that does show up here. That's great. We jump back to console. Do it this way. Okay, so 74,235. Unable to connect. No. All right. I will do further troubleshooting later. Okay, so before we continue on, let's jump back. Figure out where I put my Open Media Vault. All right. All right. Let's see now if it'll play nice. Nope. Guess we'll be waiting for the next update. Let's check out their webpage just for grids. No further update on OMV 8. At least not on the main page. Nope, nothing since the 14th. Forum. OMV 7. OMV 8. Let's see. So yes, wait for stable. A little flaky at the moment. OMV 8 on Debian 13. What's the current status of OMV extras? That's a good question. Really didn't have to make many changes for most of the plugins. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, so that's encouraging. Let's see. David, welcome in. Yeah, kind of crazy doing a morning stream, but hey, it's all good, right? I'm pleasantly surprised to see that there are 7 people watching right now, which I don't think I've ever surpassed 10 on a morning stream, but hey, it's all good. You know, these young kids, they just aren't morning people generally, right? Yeah, I guess the The trick here is to look at the Docker Compose from linuxserver.io, and it looks like we're supposed to be on port 5000. And look at that. Very nice. So anyways, I've never used changedetection.io. Don't really know. That looks, well, I don't know. I'm not sure they did a great job with their dark mode. I would have gone a different color than the same red on the black. So this is one time I will actually stick with light mode, as much as I despise light mode in general. Okay, so let's say, I don't know, google.com. So it has a preview. Let you do a screenshot if you enable the web driver. I'm not sure this is going to replace Uptime Kuma for me, but all right. Competition is good, right? Competition is good. Does not appear to have authentication for users. Question is, do you need it with public data in a case like that? Did I just close that completely? But hey, you know, this might be interesting to play with. So, doesn't this web app keep an eye on when content changes on a page? Yes. And there are multiple things you can do with it. To my understanding, but there are definitely some. You know, this is like this option here for restock and price detection for pages with a single product, right? That could be interesting in a number of cases. There are, like, a friend of mine had asked me to keep an eye out for a particular macro keyboard. And it was, at least the listing he sent to me was out of stock on Amazon. But I found another listing, which I believe is the same item. And of course, I'm not putting my fingers on it right now. It may be this one here. That looks pretty close. I don't have my phone. He sent it to me on my phone. My phone's on the charger in the other room. So I think it was this guy. But there are so many of these out there that it's just not even funny. um, so hey, look at that. We're up to 8 people watching. So if you are not subscribed and you're just watching, please subscribe. You only have to be a subscriber for 10 minutes and then you can join in the chat, right? All right. So since he sent me that request, um, since he sent me this request, it got me thinking about macro keyboards again. I've got a Stream Deck. However, it's not supported under Linux natively. Some of the workarounds are out there. They're kind of hokey, kind of buggy. And so it got me looking, and it's like, okay, well, what is available on Amazon? And it's like, all right, well, there's some of these cheap options, and you can get some of them to work under Linux. There's a couple with native support, with very mixed reviews. But I guess I don't need to do that. What I could just do this. Then I came across the Ducky Pad Pro. And I acknowledge that we're getting off on a tangent. I'll get back on track in a minute. Okay, so the Ducky Pad Pro is an open source, I believe it's an open source design, designed by a guy in the UK. It uses mechanical keys, and the thing that sets it apart is not only that it's cross-platform, but it does not use the QMK or VIA firmware, which are the two firmwares that are readily supported under Linux. What it does use instead is Ducky script. So Ducky script, as in the USB rubber ducky from Hack 5, where basically it is a basic-like language. And some of you will go back far enough to have learned BASIC. So it's a basic-like language that will let you do macros for the keys. So originally, the USB rubber ducky, it was a device you plugged it into a computer, and it would autoplay a macro, right? Well, this just puts that on steroids, and you can have your programmable keys. And yeah, it's got a little LCD panel. So it supports longer, more complex macros. It's got a 1.5-inch OLED screen. It's got an expansion module, optional, so you can use it with a foot pedal, for instance. 64 profiles, 3,712 macros total. I would never get close to that. Automatic profile switching based on active window. So you use the buttons for the LCD or OLED screen, and you can switch your loaded macros. No proprietary drivers. works out of the box. Hacker friendly with tinkering guide. And it gives you some advantages of Ducky Script versus the alternatives. And, you know, there are several of these review videos available on YouTube, right? Here's an example if you want to fill in a simple form as they show on this little video here. Your string, Michael Scott, tab, string, United States. So you don't even have to embed it in quotes. You just say it's a string and type out your string. It does have logic statements. You know, you can run it in a loop, etc. So this is very intriguing to me. And as a bonus, they've got a configurator utility that you don't even have to install. You just run it. Okay, so it gives you some specifications. Now, I will say this is not the cheapest option. As I've configured it, it's $127 with an additional $12 for shipping from the UK to the US. And that is leaving out the expansion module and the foot pedal, etc. So, yeah, I'm on the fence. But this may very well be my holiday gift to myself. So there are separate, from other creators, there are separate 3D printed cases that you can get for this device. And you can go down that rabbit hole however deep you want. But, you know, it is very techie friendly. You know, I don't know if you want to use the H word, it is what it is, right? So Basic is the first language I taught myself back in 1976. So I'm 10 years behind you. And when I was 12 in sixth grade, we had a programming class, which was basically using a canned curriculum that our teacher led us through. But it was basic. It was extended color basic on the Tandy color computer, which is derived from the Microsoft 8-bit basic from the 70s, with some additional DOS-like commands built in. But much like the microcomputers of the 70s and the initial versions of CP/M, it had zero support for subdirectories. So it was just a flat file structure on once you got a floppy drive, right? I used to mess with GW Basic on MS-DOS 3.0, I believe. Nice. I used GW Basic in high school. I had another programming class. Woohoo. That probably dates me. So since I ended up with a Tandy color computer at home and had programmed on that for a number of years before the high school class, I had basically ported some of my programs from extended color basic to GW basic. The longest of which was, I think, around 1,000 lines, and it was basically a program loader, a menu-driven program loader. Because back in the day, programs were small enough that you could fit multiple on a floppy disk, and having a cute little text loader was kind of fun. Oh yes, our first Tandy Color computer when we originally got it had a cassette, and it was slow and very annoying, especially when you had siblings that started saving things to the tape and they reset the counter where they were saving it rather than going back to the beginning and going past whatever was on there before saving something new. Excuse me. So yeah, that was interesting. Yep, I remember you talked about the H8 before. All right, so what else? Oh yes. Back to the originally scheduled programming. Okay, so if we reload that, we are now on Proxmox Data Center Manager version 0.9.4. How soon we're going to get to a 1.0 on this product, I don't know. Okay, so we've successfully upgraded one Proxmox machine to 9.1.1, which is fine. We have upgraded Proxmox Data Center Manager to 0.9.4. And what's left? Well, we've got Proxmox Backup Server, which is on version 4.0.16. And I would guess that there are probably some updates available for this as well. We'll refresh this just for good measure. And we'll go ahead and get this working on updates as well. I'm not sure if they've bumped this to 4.1 yet, or if that's going to be a few days off. Generally, they sort of cluster their upgrades within about a week of each other, give or take. Sometimes they release same day. Sometimes it takes a little longer for whatever reason. So this is going fairly quick here. And removing subscription nag from UI. Okay, that's fine. Leave page. And so we're just going to come back to the dashboard and we'll refresh here. And so it jumped to 4.0.20. So I imagine that they're going to have a 4.1 release out within a few days. And, if they get really sneaky on us, we may see the Proxmox Data Center Manager get to 1.0 by the end of the year or before the end of the year. All right. So, what else? I'm going to take this off screen for a minute. So you're going to have to look at my ugly mug. I just want to see what else I actually put in the description of this so that I can make sure that I'm hitting the necessary. upgrading to PVE 9.1, and a look around some of the new features. Okay. That gets me back on track. So we'll come back here, and I'll put this back up. Okay, so one of the other new features that I could easily demonstrate is if we come over, I think I could do it from, I don't know, we'll just pick on this one called Dummy. If we go to Hardware, and under Add, there is a new entry, Import Hard Disk. So that is going to be useful when creating a new virtual machine. If you have an existing hard disk, virtual hard disk that you want to import, you can do it either after you've created it, or if you start a new VM, we'll just say don't use any system disks. There is also an import button right here. So again, this is going to give you some extra flexibility to work with, right? So import storage, it lets you choose where you want to import it from, and then you can select from something that's out there. And you could do raw format, you could do QCOW2, of course, and then VMware. So that is another piece that's useful. There's all kinds of things they added in this version. I'm just trying to touch on the few things that I could easily demonstrate in this video. Hold that thought for just a moment. Oh, stupid head cold. All right. So, just for the sake of argument, okay. So, we touched on creating Lexi containers from OCI images. Here's another one that is going to be of more interest for people that are doing Windows VMs, and that is the support for TPM state in the QCOW2 format. I have not explored this one yet, but it says ability to store the state of a virtual trusted platform module, VTPM, in the QCOW2 disk image format. This allows users to perform full VM snapshots even with an active VTPM across diverse storage types like NFS or CIFS, CIFS. LVM storages with snapshots as volume chains now support taking offline snapshots of VMs with VTPM states. This advancement improves operational agility for security-sensitive workloads, such as Windows deployments that require a VTPM. More nested virtualization stuff, enhanced SDN status reporting. So they're continuing to add to their software-defined networking stack. But yeah, their forum announcement has, I think, a few more things. Release notes for 9.1. So based on Debian Trixie 13.2, 6.17.2 kernel, QEMU 10.1.2, and so on. Okay, so fine-grained control of nested virtualization for VM guests. So allow to initiate bulk actions directly from tag view. So more functionality for tagging. Right-clicking a VM on a VM in the resource tree now allows to reset the VM. I didn't really realize that was new, but if we can't come in here and do I not have anything running currently on this one? I do not. If we come down to an actual VM, there is a reset option here, which I guess that could be useful in some cases. Improvements to the new mobile web interface. And again, at some point, I will hook up my phone and show that. Some various fixes. The journal viewer now keeps a horizontal scrolling position when refreshing journal. Yeah, bunch of bug fixes, more languages, and then getting into more specific things based on the part of Proxmox you're using. All right, so enough about that, I guess. Obviously, when not in a data center environment, could you explain the differences between PVE? So I'm guessing you're talking about the different products from Proxmox. Okay, so in a nutshell, Proxmox virtualization environment, or PVE specifically, lets you do virtual machines as well as containers. So roughly equivalent to VMware ESXi, right? Proxmox backup server is exactly what it says. It's a backup server for Proxmox products. So if you've got a Proxmox virtualization server running, you may want to have a separate machine that is a Proxmox backup server, and you back up your VMs and your containers to that backup server. There are other options. You don't have to have a Proxmox backup server. However, there are certain advantages, such as deduplication and whatnot, that come into play with a Proxmox backup server more than something like going to your standard network attached storage, for instance. So Proxmox Data Center Manager is their newest product that is still in beta. And so basically the idea here is it's something akin to vSphere if you're coming from the VMware ecosystem. It will let it act as an overall management type interface for multiple Proxmox VE servers, right? So prior to this product, being available. And again, it is only in beta. Use it at your own risk. Prior to this software being available, you could put multiple Proxmox VE machines in a cluster. So generally, a minimum of 2. They recommend 3, so you have what they call a quorum. But you could put them in a cluster, and then you log into one Proxmox interface on one of the machines, and you can access everything from that one interface. Now, it's not really realistic for most people that do home lab work to have multiple Proxmox machines. I guess I'm an exception to that rule. Do I need 3 Proxmox machines? No. Having said that, I also do not have those Proxmox machines in a cluster. And that is one place where Proxmox Data Center shines, is that you can manage multiple Proxmox virtualization servers from one interface. And for the things that it can't do from that interface, it'll jump you over to the individual Proxmox interface. And so it opens up some new functionality, right? So previously, if you had a cluster, you could migrate a VM from Proxmox server A to Proxmox server B. Easy peasy, right? But it had the requirement of being in a cluster situation for that to happen seamlessly. With Proxmox Data Center Manager, for example, in my testing environment, I've got, let's say, 1 production machine and 2 machines that are more testing level. I can have each of those machines entered into the Proxmox Data Center Manager interface, and that allows me to migrate from one to another without having them in a cluster. So, in a nutshell, that currently is what each product does. There is also a Proxmox mail gateway. And contrary to what people think, my understanding is, and granted, I've not used the product, I could be wrong. I've read about it, but I've not used it. So what the Proxmox mail gateway is supposed to be doing, if my understanding is correct, is it acts as sort of a buffer between your mail host and your mail client, right? So if you're using something like Outlook or Mozilla Thunderbird, for instance, if you run the Proxmox mail gateway, it will help you filter out spam messages and other things, right? That's my understanding. It probably has other functionality. I have not used it. I may test it in the future, just because I do have some email accounts that are not on Gmail or Proton Mail, and since they're just your more standard SMTP type mail services, they would be prime candidates to go through something like that. I would probably create a brand new email account just for testing purposes, to test out that server. But once I've proven that it has a functionality that I could use, then I might keep it running. And then I would have pretty much the whole Proxmox suite going. And, it's another avenue for making videos. And I have not seen a lot of videos on Proxmox Mail Gateway, but I don't think it's necessarily aimed at home lab type scenarios. I hope that answers your question. There are plenty of forums out there that have people that know far more about Proxmox than I do. And if you want more information or more in-depth information, Reddit is good. The Proxmox forums are great. There's Stack Overflow. There's 6 of one, half dozen of the other type of resources out there. Okay. So good morning, Alonzo. Welcome in. Thanks for being here, Tony. I was too busy talking when you sent your message. My apologies. All right. So you're very welcome. You are very welcome. All right. It is 9:42 and we've gone just over an hour now. I need to wrap this up because I've got an errand to run before I have to go to work. Again, thank you all for being here. Much appreciated. I hope this was a worthwhile way to spend part of your morning. I don't know when the next stream is going to be, but I find that with this head cold, I'm better in the morning than I am in the evening. So it might be another morning stream in the next couple of days. And until this head cold has worked its course, that's probably how it's going to go, probably in the next week sometime. But on that note, thank you all for being here once again. I appreciate you all, and I will see you next time.